Perry responding publicly today after being indicted by a grand jury for allegedly abusing his veto power against a Democratic county district attorney.
I exercise this authority to veto funding for an office whose leadership had lost the public's confidence by acting inappropriately and unethically. I wholeheartedly and unequivocally stand behind my veto, and I'll continue to defend this lawful action of my executive authority as governor. We don't settle political differences with indictments in this country. It is outrageous that some would use partisan political theatrics to rip away at the very fabric of our state's Constitution. This indictment amounts to nothing more than abuse of power, and I cannot and I will not allow that to happen. I intend to fight against those who would erode our state's Constitution and laws purely for political purposes, and I intend to win.
Well, Governor Perry is accused of breaking the law when he promised to veto roughly $7 million in funding for a public integrity unit run by that district attorney who had been arrested and convicted of drunken driving. Governor Perry had demanded the district attorney resign, and she had refused. Well, the governor, as you just heard, is vowing to fight, and the stakes are pretty high. He actually faces jail time if convicted, not to mention the impact this could have on a possible White House run in 2016. Chief Washington correspondent James Rosen joins us now live tonight. And James, tell us more about the origins of this complex case.
Julie, good evening. This all began on the night of April 12th, 2013. That's when Travis County DA Rosemary Lemberg, a Democrat, was arrested for driving under the influence of alcohol. She later pleaded guilty. Lemberg is the top prosecutor in Austin and head of a unit that investigates other politicians for possible corruption. Police footage, now immortalized on YouTube, captured Lemberg slurring her words, failing a sobriety test, growing surly and uncooperative with officers, and ultimately being tied down to her chair, conduct on which Governor Perry, in his spirited comments in Austin this afternoon, sought to refocus attention.
Stopped for a DWI with a blood alcohol level almost 3 times the legal limit. An individual who, when booked in, had to be restrained, was abusive to law enforcement, was kicking the door. I think Americans and Texans who have seen this agree with me that is not an individual who is heading up an office that we can afford to fund.
This is the first time in a century that a sitting Texas governor has been indicted. The 2 felony charges in this case carry a maximum punishment, Texas style, of 109 years in prison, Julie.
Wow. And James, though, there seems to be a divide amongst Democrats as to the seriousness of these charges and what should happen next.
Yes, and we can put aside, Julie, how Perry's rivals in the Republican Party, such as Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky, with whom Perry has exchanged some sharp words recently, may seek to exploit these extraordinary developments. The Texas Democratic Party yesterday uploaded to the web a photo of the governor looking suitably stern above a request that voters demand Perry's resignation by entering their email addresses and zip codes. After which steps, history teaches us, fundraising solicitations tend to follow. After Perry's defiant news conference in Austin today, Democratic National Committee spokesman Mo Ellethy said in a statement, quote, "For a guy who prides himself on being Mr. Law and Order, he seems to have little respect for the rule of law. This isn't a partisan witch hunt, it's our legal process." Ellethy added, an independent and nonpartisan special prosecutor was tapped by a Republican-appointed judge to look into allegations Perry abused his power, and he presented his case to a nonpartisan grand jury, unquote. However, from the unlikely source of David Axelrod, the Democratic political consultant from Chicago, widely credited as the architect of Barack Obama's elevation to the White House, came a tweet that said, in essence, absent additional evidence, this indictment, quote, seems pretty sketchy, unquote.
As other than a politically motivated, at least initially, and at least given the facts that we have, as other than a politically motivated indictment.
Hawking saying that very few people can see this in any other way. Perry is scheduled to leave office in January after 14 years as governor. Lemberg is serving her second term as Travis County DA. Julie.
James Rosen, thank you so much. And be sure to catch Governor Rick Perry's exclusive must-watch interview. It is tomorrow on Fox News Sunday. Check your local listings for times. To start